Welcome to week 13 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show, brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. And Coach Neese, the Indians are victorious, defeating Withrow on Friday night, 17-13 in round 2 of the playoffs in what was an outstanding game. A lot to talk about, but just your thoughts real quick. Indians come from behind to win, down 13-10 at half. Pull it out, scoring with about 9.5 minutes to go, and it was a great game on both ends. Both teams played hard, and it was a clean game, and certainly the better team won. But it wasn't without. It was our first game of adversity. Indians 17-13 victors.
Exactly, and my thoughts as I think about the game and as we went forth and everything were exactly that, and the fact that neither team had really faced a lot of adversity. I know they had a great game against Taft at the beginning of the year, and I think both sides, at halftime, were kind of sitting around looking at each other, saying, "Okay, where do we go? What are we going to do here?" Yeah. And I think our coaches, I talked to the team for a little bit, and then we had the assistant coaches come in, and we wanted to tighten some screws in some places, loosen some screws in a couple other places, and then we went out and said, "Okay, this is what we want to do." And I think at some point, there was a couple tidal waves that went out there. I think at one point when it's the proverbial 2 or 3 plays a game, you just don't know when they are. But when they came out with that big heavy package, and they just started just shooting bombs, just boom, boom, boom. And next thing I know, 99's got the ball in his hand at one point, and he's
like just fridge.
Yeah, and that was going well for him. And then we kind of put that fire out. We survived that, so to speak. They had an incomplete pass, and then we were able to get a penalty, and then we survived that. And then I think on the other hand, we were struggling a little bit moving the ball because it's a great defensive team. And I think when Brady got out on the draw, and he got out and got us, we really got into that 30-yard line territory where you kind of smell the goal line. I think once we got that and we were able to get that rolling, our confidence boosted quite a bit. And that was massive because they couldn't go back into that that tight package again. They had to open it up, and I thought we did a little bit better against their open package than we did against just that double tight end, double wing type action. So I think it was the tale of a couple different things. Us surviving that, and then the fact that, like I said, that Brady got out on the draw, which at the time, to me, it was a huge play. Oh, yeah. And then the defense was able to get back and get a 3 and out right after that. Those all kind of fell in, and I thought the momentum swung a little bit after that.
Coach, we've talked all year on the show about big plays, and certainly if you were to break that game down, there were a lot of plays, big plays, but the 2 big plays on their end were ones that caused them to score. Yeah, and but again, we come back and we find ourselves and we just chip and we just kept chopping and kept chopping and kept chopping, what you're alluding to. Yeah,
you walk in the locker room, and my first message was, I had the stat sheet in my hand, and my first message was, hey, guess what? Their star running back, who's an excellent running back, -1 play. Here's the old coach's cliche, -1 play. But -1 play, the guy had 15 yards rushing. And the good news, bad news is they have at halftime 171 yards of offense, and 140 of it was on 2 plays. And in the meantime, we've managed to assemble 9 penalties, most of them offensively, during that first half. And all of a sudden, things change. We talk the 3 things we talk about. As I've said probably a million times. Big plays, are the number one things: turnovers. We didn't turn the ball over, and then penalties. And those penalties, they disappeared. We played a little smarter. We did things a little bit better in the second half, and it showed.
No question, Coach. If we have to break it down, I watched the first half. I ended up watching the first half at the end of the first half last night again, and there was a lot that happened in the last 40 seconds of the second quarter, where we're taking a. Can we talk about that? And we haven't had this year. We haven't broken down a lot of plays because we haven't. But that was a period of time that was really big. So go through them in your mind in that last 40 seconds when we have the ball and we're driving.
Well, things just didn't, we did not get it going our way, and we'd come back with a, they came back with a huge play. We'd sent an outside linebacker ran virtually right past him, and then we come back, and it was just a series of events that I'm thinking in my mind: are we ever going to get it just off this field one way or the other?
Well, you look at the 40 seconds. We had it, and we were close to scoring. And of course, you get penalty in there, and you talk about that. That comes, and then we give the ball to them, and I think at that time, it might have been 10 seconds. Of course, they hit the big play, and then they score. First time we're down at halftime. Now you come in and you talked about what you said at half, but our guys really did make an adjustment there in the second half defensively, but offensively. We had some 3 and outs ourselves, but we also kept pushing and really we didn't get down ourselves. You could tell the energy when the guys went back on the field. They really believed that something was going to happen in that series.
Yeah, it's so I don't know. It's just so redundant when you're at a game and the offense goes 3 and out and they come off the field and their helmets are off and they're crying, or not crying, but complaining and this, and we just don't do that. I mean, it's like, okay, we didn't get that done. Let's go on defense. We'll try to get some better field position, get the ball back, and we'll try it again. That's the way, and that's how these guys operate. These guys don't operate like all of a sudden in the second quarter. There's nothing more annoying in the second quarter of a game, people deciding that the game's almost over because you punted once, or you had to, you turned the ball over, stuff like that. And right before the half, that rollout pass, and they threw it back, and it was very frustrating, and to be able to do that. And I think it was 40 seconds, but it seemed like 40 minutes because I know we called timeout twice to see how they're gonna line up, and then another timeout, back and forth. And we're trying to ice their offensive coordinator if that's possible instead of icing their kicker. And came back with the same formation, so we knew, we had an idea where the ball was going to go, and we just had to make that play, and we didn't make the play. And
well, you look, and one other play I'd like to talk about in the first half is first time Trauma gets a field goal opportunity, and he connected with it.
Yeah, and that helped. Actually, we have a standing joke here. There's been 4 times this year on a 3rd and 10. Because I told Jackson, I said the problem with field goals is every time we get in field goal range, it's always like a 4th and 3, 4th and 2, and I can't resist it. You got to go. You just got to go. And I said, the first time we're in that 3rd and 10, we're ready. So 4 times this year we've been in a 3rd and 10. I say field goal team get ready, field goal team get ready, and every single time we've scored a touchdown on a 3rd and 10. So this time we didn't, and so boom, he went on the field and nailed it. And it was great. It was great. We now know we can do that. Got a good weapon. The protection's good, and he's set to go.
Well, Coach, I know we're always wanting 7 instead of 3, but it had to give some confidence to Jackson that opportunity that, hey, A, you called his number, and B, he was able to connect with it.
Yeah, and there's still something good to be said about it. You can go back and forth on that. Go for it, and then if you don't get it, they've got a long field. But in the meantime, I think it's still pretty good. You get 3 on the board, your kickoff team goes out, he puts it in the end zone again, boom, they're back at the 20-yard line. And in the meantime, you still got 3 points out of it. So if you can flip that over like that seems to be a pretty good idea.
Well, and you moved into the second half. Now you got actually, even it's a 4. You got a little cushion there. So now because they've got to score the touchdown because we're up 17-13, they've got to go the full distance. So Medley gets. You talk about the draw and Medley gets free. The play of the game probably is the one that the media talked about is the pass that is thrown, 30-yard pass. And Josiah comes back to catch the ball, which is a very fundamentally thing that people don't talk about, is he actually went back to get the ball, which certainly was a huge part of not just that play, but certainly turning into points several plays later.
Oh, interesting how that went, because we sent him out of the backfield one time and he was wide open and we overthrew him. So then we come back the next time and he sent him out of the backfield and he's covered this time. So they underthrew him. And the guy came back, the defensive back is like, man, I can't win.
Right. Yeah.
One way or the other. So it worked out well. That was a good little thing that just shows more of his athletic ability. I think everybody that watches him is experiencing something pretty special when they see him play.
We score with, again, I think it was like 9.5 to go in the fourth quarter. So we still have defense to take care of.
3 more possessions. Yeah.
And our defensive line and our secondary there, we had some really big key tackles there and some big stops.
Well, with that differential route like that, those guys had to move the ball, and they had, like I said before, they weren't time-wise, going to sit there and try to do that again because it didn't work out the first time. So, when they opened it up, we kind of matched up speed, and we were able to make some really good plays, especially on the perimeter.
Coach, you and I knew going into the game it was going to be competitive, and their line was as big of a line as we've seen all year.
Yeah, they were good.
And athletic and move. But in the fourth quarter, our offensive line really, you could just tell they were locked in, and they struggled to maybe make some holes for Saya early. They did in the fourth quarter, and we were able to get some first downs, which eventually we got enough first downs that we could kneel it at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's a great feeling to sit there and get the ball and say, okay, offensive line, we need 2 first downs. 2 first downs. And with the new 40-second clock, you can really milk that clock. We were calling.
I noticed that the other
we
were really playing to the clock.
Yeah,
a lot.
And, we got 2 of them at each end. We got a ref down there, but the meantime is you get that 40 seconds. That's a lot to be able to just sit there, and the other team just helpless at that point. And there were some tough situations because I know, and there was a couple times in the fourth quarter where they had a 4th and 1. They had a 4th and 3, and I'm thinking in my mind, what would I do? Would I be going for it or punting? You don't know at what point you got to just go for it, sell out, and see what happens, or do you have enough time to punt it, try to play some defense, and come back? And in that case, they did. They punted the ball, and then they never got the ball back.
And again, a lot to do with our offense and our offensive line. And I know Cy made some great plays, but again, the offense and defensive line really made plays in that last 9 minutes.
For anybody that enjoys the game of football, especially from a line viewpoint, those were 2 excellent defensive lines, and those were 2 excellent offensive lines that were playing. There were some talented people out there. I think they got 2 kids that have been offered scholarships already. I know we're going to have at least 2 or 3 that are going to be college football players. So there was a good mix in there. I mean, that was some serious battling going on, both times around.
Indians secure the win and the second round victory, defeating Cincinnati Withrow 17-13. And Coach, it's now on to the regional semifinals. This team will be moving on to a neutral site. We'll be playing at Wayne High School on Friday night, kickoff at 7 p.m. versus Edgewood, who is a very, very good football team. And of course, when you only have 16 teams left in the state in Division II, you're dealing with some really good football teams, and no exception, Edgewood has been on a roll. They've won 9 straight, and they've really got it rolling.
They have, and start off the year and with 2 losses, and then had a canceled game. And from that point, after Franklin and Milford, at that point they just, it was gone. They took off, and they've got a ground game that's incredible. They've got a quarterback that's averaging about 30 yards completion. Got an excellent defense that just moves around and just flies at the football. So overall, obviously, as you said, when you're down to 16, they're a quality football team. But boy, they jump out on you, when you put the film in.
Well, they and I'll let you talk about their offense that they run, which is a little different and unique than what we've seen. You've seen it, and it's been a long time. But before we get to that, Coach, historically, I think people probably find this interesting. When in week 2, we were not we were open because West Carrollton had canceled. We actually had conversations with Edgewood about potentially playing, and they had said, "Hey, we need to get ourselves healthy." And boy, they have.
Yeah, they have.
part of their offense is unique. So I'll let you talk a little bit about that offense and what we're going to see on Friday night.
Well, it's a wing T offense, and just very simply, it's kind of like everybody right now is running a down kick power game, and with an H back and kicking and then inserting up, and the wing T is pretty kind of that, but it's just two more guys on. So they put a tight end in a wing, and instead of just having A, B, and C gap, they've got A, B, C, and D gap. And so all they're doing is they're trying to stretch out, then outflank you. A lot of down, and then kick, and then insert. They kick and insert with the guards. So guard will kick, guard will insert in, and hit that into the C gap, and then the same look, and they hit a trap up the middle. So they really test everybody on the defensive line. Everybody's going to get an inside release, and they're going to get a kick or they're going to get a down. And in the meantime, while this is, and all kind of looks the same, and in the meantime, they've got their waggle out of that. So next thing you know, boom, here comes the quarterback out, and we got people flying across the field. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, Coach. Talk about their offense. Now talk about defensively. What we're going to see. They're a pretty strong defense.
Yeah, they are. And they run based out of a kind of a 3-4, and similar to a lot of the schools that we're playing this year. You're in a 3-4 and bringing the guys up, bringing them back to two outside guys, and a lot of movement inside. But the biggest thing I noticed is as soon as the ball snapped, they got 11 people flying to the football, and I mean running to the football. Unbelievably. So they've got great eyes on defense. They know what they want to do. They blitz effectively. They mix it in. They got some twists. They got some other things. So they're gonna be a handful for our offensive line. So
Coach, here we are. We're getting in our points, and you have been this week, 1 week at a time, no different here. What's the message today to our team? And I know being Monday. They get their team meeting, they get their message. What's the keys to the game, which I know that was part of it today in your message to the team?
The big thing is at this point in the year, I think we kind of, we've got what we need to do. The big thing we need to do is make sure we're staying healthy. We got to stay healthy. We got to take care of ourselves. I mean, it's great weather out there. We're able to get out there and run and condition a little bit more. We're in the weight room today, and you just got to keep hanging in there in terms of conditioning. We got 3 or 4 guys that are got little bumps, bangs, and bruises. We want those guys to be staying in here and getting their treatment and making sure that our best 11 goes on the field Friday night. That's the number one thing we can do.
Yeah, this part of the game when you're in round 3 and you're in your regional semifinals, you've got 16 teams left as we talking about. Everybody's trying to stay healthy, and as we have been able to do that all year, we know that we'll be ready to go. And speaking of ready to go, we've got 3 guys that are part of the coaches or part of the players portion of the program. 3 solid juniors that have been major impacts of our team: Colten Beougher and Brayden Soliday and Jacob Voskuhl. Talk a little about their roles on this team and how they have really helped, not just with this past week, but all season long.
Well, when you talk about Soliday and Voskuhl, it's almost like you're talking about the same thing for a while there, and that is the fact that both those guys had started off the year sharing a right guard position, and basically about 50-50. The biggest difference is that Soliday's our backup center. Soliday can also play tackle. So as the course of the year goes on, we're able to move our right tackle, Wyatt Dobbins, and have him play inside on defensive line now, which we hadn't anticipated, but he's done such a great job on defensive line, he's kind of forced his way into that mix. So once we can do that, then we can put Soliday and Voskuhl, instead of alternating, now they're playing side by side on the right side, over the offensive line. And both of them are just outstanding kids. I love their ethic, their work ethic in the weight room. Yeah. Soliday probably doesn't say as much as Voskuhl, but Soliday probably would be classified as one of the most intelligent people on our team. In terms of knowing what to do and where to go. Sometimes
pretty analytical.
Yeah, he is. He is, and I think both of those guys have just been outstanding, and they allow us to have depth on both sides of the line, which is critical. At this point in time, if we hadn't had that depth, I don't know that we would be able to survive what Withrow did when they became double tights and that, because we were running defensive linemen in. Anson took a break for a while, and then we had Lyons take a break for a while. And we had to get those guys in there because it's just a pounding in the middle. Oh, and I think those guys really give us that that ability to do that.
Colten Beougher, he is. We've been a good point. He's had to step in and defensively and take Tanner's spot. Offensively, we've seen him being in that H spot where he is scored for us, but has also gotten some big plays for yardage for us throughout the year. We could cite different ideas for him. He's been he's been solid for us all the way around, and a good teammate.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
well, they're all good teammates.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And he's kind of, for those that don't that didn't catch what Chip said about his position, he's an H back, which is, H backs are fullbacks, are tight ends. They're all kind of all. An H back allows you to be everything. You can be a tight end over here. You can be a fullback over here because you're off the line and you can move around a little bit. Usually fullbacks are stuck where they're at, and he does a great job with us in terms of being a lead blocker sometimes. Also, our play action pass. He's caught people 2 or 3 times on play action passing, which is outstanding. And then these past couple weeks, he's almost played full time because of Tanner's injury, and he was able to play outside linebacker. Came in when Tanner got hurt and had to finish the Stebbins game, with not a whole lot of practice, and then the following week was able to get his practice in and played very well. So he's very, very capable of playing outside linebacker, at a high level.
Well, we're certainly going to look forward to speaking to those guys. And one more point before we move on to that part 2 of the show, Coach. You and I talked about this a little bit after the game on Friday night. The Indian Nation was alive and well. They were fired up and ready to go. And I know I juiced our kids up, and I'm sure as a coach being on the sideline, it helps to get a little bit of that cranking. And we're going to encourage more people to come down on Friday night to win.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Good luck to you in your preparations, Coach, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you all the best.
All right.
We're going to come back and we're going to meet these gentlemen that Coach is talking about. We're going to find out a little bit about these guys, and you're going to find out these guys are some dudes, and they're some good ones. We'll be right back. Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. This is the players portion. We're going to have these gentlemen introduce themselves, their name, and the position that they play. We'll start with you, Bob.
Hi, my name's Jacob Voskuhl. I play offensive lineman.
I'm Brayden Soliday, and I'm an offensive lineman.
Colten Beougher, and I play H.
H. What's H?
H back.
H back. Okay. All right. This program is sponsored by Edison State Community College and Employee Bridge. Colten, let's start with you. Here we are. We're week 13. Grind out what was our closest game to date. What was that like to be a part of that game Friday night?
What really surprised me and made me really stop and think about everything was looking up in the stands and seeing all the white flags and everyone cheering and all the team getting rowdy and just cheering. It was
a true energy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It had to be a rush to be a part of that. Yeah. Mr. Soliday, talk a little bit about you and just your role in that game. That line was big. They were strong, and you had your work cut out for you.
So for me, I mainly just come in for Wyatt or Voskuhl, and it was pretty tough up front in the whole game. They were 2 big guys, number 12 and number 99, that we had to fight the whole game. But I think we did enough at the end that we could pull out the win. Yeah,
you did a nice job. And as Mr. Voskuhl here, if you talk a little bit about the game, that fourth quarter, our line really, you could tell, made some holes and gave Josiah some chances to get some first downs and really close out the game.
Yeah, that fourth quarter we came out, we said to ourselves, we had a little meeting and said, this is it, this is like 12 minutes the rest of our lives, So we had to just keep going, give it our all to come out and win the game, do what we need to do.
Guys, to be a part of a team this year, we've asked this from the guys before. What's it been like for you to be a part of this experience and be a part of this team? And I know we take it week by week, but if I were just a snapshot at right now, what's it been like for you?
It's amazing. Being the energy that we all have connected, we're like a big family. We all know what each other are thinking. We know what we need to do to win. The energy with the fans is great.
Yeah. Brayden, a little bit on your end, from we talked about this week is the week to week is the chemistry this team has. We have guys that not just get along, but they get along inside the locker room and outside the locker room. That's pretty special.
Yeah, the way we communicate, like with offensive line, everyone knows what they're doing, and we can trust each other, and it just helps lead to success during games.
Colten, on your end, one of the things that I noticed you guys I had the opportunity to break bread with you guys and eat dinner or lunch with you, and I didn't do any talking. I did a little bit, but you guys were very entertaining. Yeah. What I find entertaining about you is just that you guys know how to joke with one another, but when it's time to play football, it's down to business.
We all get along. There's not one person or a couple people that there's just outsiders. We all bring everyone together, and we're all a big family.
Yeah. Colten, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll pass it on down. Moving forward, Edgewood, obviously each game as we go forward, they become a little bit more real, and the teams become, we're dealing with some dudes. There's 16 teams left in Division II. We're one of 16 teams. From your standpoint, what's the Edgewood game mean to you this week?
It's going to be a big game for linebackers, especially because of their wing T, so they're going to be running the ball a lot. We're going to have to take on some big guys, but I think all of us in the back can do it.
Okay. Brayden, what's your thoughts being on the front line and going up against the wing T?
Yeah, I think it all starts with offensive line, and I think a big key is if we can get the run game going up front, and we can just and then also the defense with the run, they have to stop the run, which is what Edgewood basically all they do. So
yeah.
With this Edgewood team, we got to get their defensive line moving. Got to get the holes open for Saya, get them big plays going.
Well, I'm going to ask you one more question as we close out. You guys are juniors, and you guys are having an opportunity to be a part of a group that is a strong senior group. But we talked about the senior group that's not here, this family atmosphere for you. You guys get a chance to come back. And I know this group of seniors here, this is it for them, but you guys really take that role serious. And just talk a little bit about what you feel like it is your role to help these seniors and our team to continue to move forward.
Yeah, whenever I go into games, I want to play every game like it's my last, just like maybe it could be theirs. So I keep that mentality. If we don't win this, it could be everybody's last game. So I just want to do the best I can do, keep going, do the hardest, work the hardest,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's the same thing for me. I go in the game, and you just got to play your hardest every single week. You can't let up at all if you want to keep going.
Yeah.
Like Voss said, you got to have some sympathy for the seniors because it really could be their last game. So they want you to play just as hard as they would.
And I think that's the point of the question. We don't expect that this is going to be the last game. But for you guys understand that you guys are playing for not just yourselves, but you're playing for your team and being a part of something special. There's a lot of sacrifice and time that you guys have been put in the off season. So we certainly wish you guys all of the best.
Thank you.
We right now have no idea whether or not this game is going to be live or it's going to be on tape delay. We are still in negotiations right now with Wayne High School, who will be hosting the game on Friday night. Indian Nation Station updates will be coming forward. You can get those on social media. I know that AJ Ganger will be putting things out also on the Indian Nation Station. What we can tell you is this, that the Indians will be taking on Edgewood on Friday night at Wayne High School at 7 p.m. This will be round 3 in the regional semifinals and should be an outstanding ball game. And we invite you to be a part of it, whether it is through the radio, WPTW, or through the live opportunities you might have here at Indian Nation Station, or getting the highlights as we have been doing throughout the whole year. So you will get that information here on the Indian Nation Station YouTube channel and also Spectrum Channel 5. For my good friends here, Colten and Brayden and Jake Voskuhl, we wish you guys luck, and we will see you next week. Have a good night.